The judge in the NASCAR lawsuit continues to warn both sides that NASCAR could look very different in 2026 pending the outcome of their trial in December. Well, what are some of those possible outcomes? We'll start off with the teams winning here. If 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports are successful, it means a couple of things. One, they get their 6 charters back, assuming the charter system still exists, because the judge in this case has said that blowing up the charter system is a possibility if, of course, it violates federal law. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out, but let's assume they get their 6 charters back. There's some other possible outcomes for NASCAR here. One, they could have to be forced to sell off ARCA. Obviously, they bought ARCA back in 2018, and right now they own all of the National Touring Stock Car Series in this country, so selling it off might be one of those appeasement things they're going to have to do. They could also be forced to sell off International Speedway Corporation, their track holdings company. The tracks like Daytona, Talladega, Martinsville, Richmond, Watkins Glen, and others. That happens, that'll be interesting because they're going to have new owners. NASCAR loses their crown jewel in Daytona in terms of owning it, but also land's really valuable, and it has me concerned about the future of some of those racetracks if, in fact, they do get sold off. We'll have to wait and see how all of that plays out here. Blowing up the charter system is an interesting one, though, because I think if that happens, you're going to have a lot of angry owners who just saw all of their equity in those charters get wiped out, which is why I think we heard Dan Towers earlier this week in the Associated Press article mention that he would like NASCAR to settle because he wants to have that equity in those charters and does not want to see that go away because he bought into Spire Motorsports at a certain price and doesn't want to see that price get devalued almost immediately after like a year of ownership. Now, let's assume NASCAR wins here. What happens if NASCAR wins? Well, in all likelihood, 2311 Racing, Front Row Motorsports go out of business. They've said just as much in court that if they don't get their charters back, if they do lose, they're going to go out of business because there's no real financial viable option for them to continue to compete in the NASCAR Cup Series without a charter. Guaranteed starting spot plus the guaranteed money that comes along with the charter makes it feasible. Obviously, with the way NASCAR changed the rules for owners' points, if they started every race like next year, at the beginning of the year, they have enough owner points to consider themselves locked in, but earning substantially less would not be great. At the same time, though, you could look at 6 of their drivers being able to hit the open market, and that might throw just a huge chaotic wrench into NASCAR's silly season because this is going to start and towards the end of December, you would have to assume, and cars hit track in February, which makes everything a little bit more complicated.